Over 2,000 years ago, construction began on one of the world's most epic projects, a wall to protect the Chinese people from nomadic invaders. At its greatest extent, it was over 13,000 miles long, longer than the entire length of the United States. It took an estimated 200,000 laborers a full century to build. And even after all that work, it was never finished. This is the Great Wall of China. But what if I told you that this story has been a huge lie? What if I told you that this wall wasn't built in a single continuous project, but rather over hundreds of years by different dynasties, with each dynasty believing they were the first to build the wall, leading to lots of gaps in the structure? Would it be less impressive? Well, maybe. But the truth is that this is only a small part of the story. So keep watching to find out what else historians have recently discovered about this ancient structure. The idea for a wall to protect the Chinese people from the Xiongnu, a confederation of nomadic tribes, first came about during the Warring States period. In 200 BC, 7 separate states controlled the land that would become China. But soon after, 3 of these states fell under the control of the Qin dynasty, which would later be followed by the Han. The new rulers now had to contend with the threat of invasion from the Xiongnu to the north. According to legend, the first emperor of the Qin dynasty, Qin Shi Huang, dispatched 300,000 soldiers to build a wall across the northern borders, although this figure has been heavily exaggerated. Historians now believe it was more like 70,000 soldiers who worked on the wall for around 10 years before it was complete. Some of these soldiers were convicts, while others were conscripted farmers. Once the wall was finished, they were granted noble status and given farmland. With the newly built wall protecting their lands, the people of China were safe from nomadic attacks. Or were they? When the Xiongnu heard about this Great Wall blocking their path into China, they just went around it. That's right. After spending 10 years and countless lives constructing this gigantic wall, the Chinese people were still vulnerable to attack. So it's not surprising that when the Han dynasty came into power, Emperor Wu of Han decided to extend the wall further west and east to block any possible entry point. During the next century, another 10,000 miles of walls were constructed. These included the famous Yang Pass, which was wide enough to fit 6 carriages abreast. While some parts of the old Qin wall crumbled and were abandoned, other sections were reinforced with watchtowers and barracks for soldiers. For the next 400 years, the wall was continuously maintained until the Northern Wei dynasty. In 386 AD, the Northern Wei ruler, Emperor Fu Di, was defeated by the Ruran people, forcing him to abandon the wall and flee south. Without any strong rulers to defend it, the wall was once again left in a state of disrepair. As the centuries passed, the wall was gradually lost to vegetation and legend. It wasn't until the Ming dynasty that the Great Wall we know today started to take shape. In 1368, the first Ming emperor, Hongwu, conquered much of northern China, including the old Mongol capital of Dadu, now known as Beijing. Hongwu planned to make Beijing his new capital and ordered the city to be renamed Beiping, or Northern Peace. But there was just one problem. The wall that ran through the city was in terrible condition. If the Ming were going to rule China effectively, they would need to repair the wall and extend it further to the east and west. Over the next 170 years, 6,400 miles of new wall were constructed, along with 25,000 watchtowers and 150 fortresses. By the end of the Ming dynasty, the wall was over 13,000 miles long. But this isn't where the story ends. There are 3 things that you probably didn't realize about the Great Wall of China. First, did you know that the Great Wall isn't actually one single structure? Instead, it's made up of several smaller walls built at different times by different dynasties. The earliest and longest section of the wall is the one built by the Jin dynasty. Most people don't realize this because they visit the battling section of the wall, which was built by the Ming. The reason why the wall looks so ruined in many places is because it's mostly made up of loose rocks and soil, which were easy to dismantle, unlike the brick and stone structures built by the Ming. Next, did you know that the purpose of the wall was never solely defensive? Yes, it served as a defense against nomadic tribes, but it also functioned as a customs checkpoint between the empire and the outside world. Goods coming into China had to be inspected and taxed, and travelers had to register before entering the empire. The wall also helped to regulate trade and keep the Chinese economy stable. Finally, contrary to popular belief, the wall was never really finished. From the time it was first built until the Ming dynasty, there were always sections of the wall that were either being repaired or extended. And even today, there are still gaps in the structure. This is why you can find hiking trails and roads running through the wall in some places. As we continue to explore the Great Wall of China, we're making some amazing discoveries about the wall's construction techniques and how it was used throughout history. For example, we're finding evidence that the wall was built using advanced surveying techniques, which allowed the builders to create such an accurate and efficient structure. We're also learning more about how the wall was used for purposes other than defense, such as its use as a customs checkpoint and how it helped to regulate trade along the Silk Road. One of the most exciting recent discoveries is the use of space technology to map the Great Wall of China. In 2017, researchers from the Chinese Academy of Sciences used satellite imagery and aerial photography to create a detailed 3D model of the wall. This technology has allowed us to see the wall from a whole new perspective and has revealed some of its secrets, such as hidden structures and previously unknown sections. Another fascinating discovery is the role that women played in the construction of the wall. Traditionally, it was thought that the wall was built entirely by men, but we now know that women played a significant role in its construction. In fact, there are records of female labor battalions that were organized to work on the wall during the Ming Dynasty. These women were responsible for carrying materials, mixing mortar and laying bricks, and they worked alongside male laborers to complete sections of the wall. Of course, despite these new discoveries, there's still much that we don't know about the Great Wall of China. Many sections of the wall have been lost to time, and there are still many gaps in our knowledge about its history. But as technology improves and our understanding of ancient China grows, we can expect to learn even more about this amazing structure and its impact on world history. Thank you for watching.